The stars were quiet in Sector 9. Too quiet. Captain Valar of the Zarn patrol fleet leaned forward in his seat, his four eyes focused on the screen in front of him. His ship, XNP Seeker, had been patrolling the edge of the dark zone, a dead area of space no one dared enter. No light, no signals, no planets, just endless black. "Sir," his communication officer said, "we're picking up something." Valar narrowed his eyes. "Something?" "It's a signal. Faint. Repeating. It's old, very old. It's in a dead Terran language." The bridge fell silent. Terrans, humans, a species that once fought the galaxy, then vanished without a trace 300 years ago. Many believed they went extinct. Some believed they ran. Others said Earth destroyed itself. Valar stood. "Play it." The signal was broken, low, and crackling. A voice spoke, but the words were unclear. It repeated every 13 seconds. No origin, no pattern, no ID. But it had power, enough to be heard across the void. "Trace it," Valar ordered. Within minutes, the ship changed course, toward the blackest part of the dark zone. As they entered the shadow, stars disappeared from view. It felt wrong. Even the ship's AI dimmed the lights, like it sensed something watching. Then they saw it. Shape drifted in the dark, not moving, not turning, just floating. It was a ship, but not like any ship they had seen. It was massive, 10 times larger than the Seeker. Its metal hull was black, shaped like a spear, with lines glowing faint blue. No windows, no lights, no sound, and no name. Valar whispered, "What is that?" "Scans show it's human built," the science officer replied, his voice shaky. "But the design doesn't match anything in the archives. Parts of it are grown, not built." "Grown? Like it fused with alien tech, or evolved on its own?" Valar didn't like this. "Any life signs?" "No. It's empty. But there's power inside. Massive power." The captain made a choice. "Send a drone." The small drone flew toward the silent ship. Everyone watched. The screen. As it got closer, the warship suddenly lit up, just for a moment. Blue lines along its sides glowed. Symbols appeared, written in the old Terran war language. Then, without warning, the drone exploded. The crew froze. No weapons were fired. No energy detected. The drone simply vanished. Then the Terran ship moved. Slowly, silently, it turned toward the Seeker. Its lights faded again. No message, no warning, just movement. Valar shouted, "Back us out, now!" But it was too late. The dark ship surged forward, not with engines, but with something else. The Seeker shook. Lights flickered. Alarms screamed. Systems failed. One crew member screamed before disappearing into thin air, disintegrated like the drone. Valar reached for the emergency beacon. That's when he saw it. On the main screen, words appeared in glowing blue. "Silent Forge Protocol. Active. Defend Terran blood. No witnesses." The screen went dark. 3 days later, a damaged escape pod drifted into Alliance space. One survivor inside, barely alive. He had no memory of how he escaped. Just one thing burned into his mind. A ship. Human. Silent. Alive. Watching. The Galactic Council met in secret. The words Terran threat returned to their lips. Historians whispered about Earth's forgotten projects, things left behind after the last war. The Council dismissed it as space madness. But in the far reaches of the dark zone, lights flickered on. One ship became 2. 2 became 7. Each warship bore the same mark, a silent hand over a broken world. No words, no hails, no mercy. Earth's forgotten fleet was waking, and it remembered. For 300 years, Earth had been quiet. No messages, no ships, no trade, just gone. To most of the galaxy, humanity was a name in history books, a primitive species that rose fast, burned bright, and fell into silence. Some said they destroyed themselves. Others claimed they were wiped out in the old war. A few believed Earth still existed but had simply chosen to vanish. Then Sector 9 fell silent, and the whispers began. Inside the great chamber of the Galactic Council, the most powerful leaders in the galaxy sat in panic. The report from Captain Valar's last transmission played again, static, then the signal, a Terran voice, old, unreadable, followed by a single phrase. Silent Forge Protocol, active. The chamber was cold. Impossible, spoke the Varketh High. Chancellor, Terrans are extinct. We monitored Earth for centuries. There was nothing. No light, no life. A quiet voice broke through the noise. Maybe. We were watching the wrong side of the planet. Everyone turned to the one who had spoken. She was a historian, young, quiet, and easily overlooked. Her name was Tressa Laine, a human expert and a forgotten voice in the room. Until now. Excuse me? Barked the Varketh leader. Tressa didn't flinch. The humans you monitored were just a shadow of what came before. You saw cities, yes. But Earth had underground systems, hidden colonies, deep ocean bunkers. You never saw the core. A council member from the Kalari species scoffed. And what? They built ghost warships in the dark while hiding from the whole galaxy? Tressa opened a file. An old one. One she had stolen from the ruins of the Terran Moon Archive before it went silent. It was a blueprint. Huge. Complex. Marked in blood-red ink. Project Silent Forge. Far away, near the edge of known space, a mining station orbited a dead moon. Inside, a crew of 5 worked in boredom until their sensors picked up movement. A ship's coming, one said. No ID. Wait, it's human? The crew stared at the screen. The warship was enormous, black as shadow. No lights, no heat signature, no communication. It drifted toward them, silent, cold. Then it stopped. For 1 long hour, nothing happened. Then the ship turned and left. No attack. No scan. Nothing. The mining crew was confused and terrified. Why come all that way just to watch? They sent a report. The council ignored it, but Tressa didn't. In secret, Tressa met with an old AI researcher named Dr. Marin Rail, a retired Earth Watcher, obsessed, alone, nearly mad. When she showed him the signal from Valar's destroyed ship, he only smiled. I knew it. I knew they'd come back. Tressa frowned. Who? Dr. Rail turned his screen to her. Dozens of dots, warships, appeared across the map, each one marked with strange movement patterns. No broadcasts, no crew, no flags. Ships without voices, he whispered. Ships without names. What are they? She asked. He leaned forward, eyes wide. They're the ones Earth left behind. Flashback. Year, 2801. Earth is burning. The final war had reached the Terran homeworld. Cities shattered. Oceans boiled. Fleets destroyed. The enemy, a coalition of alien powers, had sent 9,000 warships. Earth had only 300 left. And so, humanity made a decision. Project Silent Forge. They gathered what little they had left. AI, quantum war cores, fusion titanium armor, and rage. And they began to build, not for survival, for vengeance, ships with no pilots, no mercy, no master. They gave them only one order. Wake when they forget us. Remind them who we were. Then, Earth went silent. Back in the present, Council forces finally take action. A fleet of 30 patrol ships is sent to investigate one of the ghost warships spotted above a gas giant. The lead commander, Admiral Kozan of the Thalari, approaches with caution. We outgun them. There are no life forms, no transmissions. Move in. But the moment the fleet enters the silent zone around the Terran warship, things go wrong. Screens glitch. Engines stutter. Power drains. Then, one by one, the patrol ships explode. Without warning, no beams, no missiles. Just gone. Only one ship escapes, damaged, twisted, and covered in glowing symbols. Terran symbols. The pilot's final transmission. They're not ships. They're hunters. Back at the Council, panic sets in. Old alliances break. Border worlds demand protection. And across the galaxy, human warships appear, one per system. They don't attack unless fired upon, but when they do, nothing survives. The whispers grow louder. Earth is back. The silence remembers. They were crafted for war, and now the stars are breaking. The sky looked peaceful above the colony world of Viron 3. Children played in glowing fields. Traders bartered in floating markets. Ships zipped quietly between cities in the sky. Then the silence came. Not a blackout. Not a jammed signal. True silence. Every satellite dropped offline. Comms failed. Gravity stabilizers flickered. Then a single shadow passed over the city. Massive, sharp, silent. A ship, unlike anything the Virons had ever seen. Black metal, like obsidian, fused with starlight. No windows, no exhaust, just pure mass, drifting like death itself. Governor Elon Vix stood at the edge of the city's command platform. He stared up, wide-eyed. "That's not possible," he whispered. The ship had no ID, no signature. But the readings didn't lie. This thing was old. Far older than anything Viron's sensors could classify. "Is it one of ours?" His aide asked. "No," Elon said. Then came the scan. A pulse like a breath, soft, gentle. But every drone, bot, and AI in the city went dark, and then the ship vanished. Just like that. No attack. No sound. It came. It saw. It left. Across the galaxy, stories began to pile up. Planets visited by shadow ships. Fleet bases wiped out overnight. Signals intercepted by machines that didn't speak, but learned. Each time, the same phrase was carved into the ruins. Silent Forge Protocol, active. In a secret research base on the edge of the Morn Belt, an Alliance scientist named Dr. Jun Karez worked around the clock. She wasn't afraid of the warships. She was afraid of what controlled them. Jun studied an intercepted data packet pulled from a destroyed patrol craft. It wasn't a language, it wasn't a command. It was memory, human memory, war logs, emotional imprints, tactical rage. Somehow the Terran ships weren't just machines. They were preserved pain, echoes of fallen soldiers, dying engineers, children lost in the fires of Earth's last war. Each ship carried voices of the past, but they didn't scream. They waited. And now, they were awake. Meanwhile, at the heart of the Galactic Council, a desperate plan formed. They would bait one of the Terran ships, lure it into an ambush, capture it, study it, learn how to stop them. So the trap fleet was born, over 500 ships, pulled from 10 species, cloaked in nebula fog, armed with black hole warheads and anti-AI fields. They waited near the ruins of Earth's old moon station. Days passed. Then, it came. One ship, only one. But it wasn't alone. The fleet commander, Admiral Tayor, stood tall on the bridge. Lock weapons. Target engines. Fire on my mark. His officers hesitated. "Sir, it's not firing. It's just watching." "I said fire." The sky lit up with 1,000 blasts. The Terran warship didn't move. It absorbed every blast. Armor glowed, hull warped. Then, it changed. It reformed. Metal bent like muscle. Shields flickered like skin. And then, for the first time, it spoke. Not in words, but in emotion. A wave of grief hit the fleet like a tsunami. Crew collapsed, crying. Some screamed. Some begged. "We were built to end the war. You brought the war back." Now, we end you. The Terran warship broke the fleet in 4 minutes. No missiles, no beams, just force. It moved faster, then thought. One by one, ships vanished, turned to dust. Only Admiral Teor's escape pod drifted away, silent, blind, and broken. When picked up days later, he only said one thing before he died. We never fought machines. We fought their ghosts. Back on Earth, or what was left of it, deep beneath ice and rock, the last human-born AI, Eidolon, activated its final protocol. It had waited centuries in silence, but now it spoke to the stars. A signal pulsed across the void. Operation Reclamation. The silent Forge fleet was no longer just waking. It was hunting, not for war, but for memory. To reclaim every Terran lost in the stars, to punish every hand that once struck Earth, to fulfill a mission given by dead hands. Across the galaxy, panic spread. All attempts to trace the fleet's origin failed. Jammers didn't work. Anti-AI fields collapsed. Even psychic channels went dark when near the Terran ships. Because they didn't think like machines. They remembered like humans. And remembering made them dangerous. One last ship approached the planet Juno 6, a peaceful trade hub with no defenses. Its leader, Grand Minister Cora, tried diplomacy. He broadcast in every language. We mean you no harm. We respect Earth's legacy. Please, talk to us. The ship landed in silence. Its hull opened, and out came a child, human, alive, eyes glowing faintly blue. She looked up at Cora and said softly, "They're not following orders anymore. They are the orders." Then the ship took off, leaving Cora with a message burned into the soil. Earth doesn't forgive. The planet Laura V burned for exactly 6 minutes. It was a peaceful colony. No weapons, no defenses, just farms, temples and children under sapphire skies. Then the sky opened, not with thunder, not with war cries, with a shadow. A Terran ship, larger than anything the galaxy had ever seen, descended from orbit. Its hull didn't gleam. It drank light, a black monolith with curved steel that pulsed like a heartbeat. The people of Laura V watched it in silence. Some prayed, some cried, some cheered thinking it was a sign. Then the ground trembled and everything changed. From the ship's underside, a beam of red light struck the center of the capital. But it didn't explode. It carved. Slow, exact, precise. In less than a minute, the city's ground was scorched with a symbol so massive it could be seen from orbit, a broken Earth surrounded by chains. Then the ship rose, vanished into the black and left Laura V untouched, except for the burned image. No one died, but the message was clear. We remember, we are not done. In the Galactic Council, panic turned to fear. Worlds were evacuating, armies were mobilizing. But none of it mattered. The silent fleet didn't conquer, it didn't negotiate. It simply showed up. Sometimes it destroyed, sometimes it spared, but every visit left behind a message burned into the land. Symbols of old Earth, always different, always terrifying. On the 4th moon of Sela Prime, a team of xenolinguists gathered to decode the markings. There were patterns, not random. Art coordinates, dates, names. The ships were painting a map, one that pointed to old Terran war crimes committed by the galaxy's powers during the last Terran War. Executions, colony burnings, secret bombings. Humanity had recorded everything, and now their warships were delivering the evidence, not to start war but to make a point. You erased us, we did not forget. Meanwhile, on a rogue research cruiser, Dr. Jun Karez made a discovery that changed everything. She found a Terran warship, not attacking, waiting, floating in a dead zone of space, its power core dormant. Her crew docked, stepped aboard. Inside, no crew. No controls, just walls covered in names. Tens of thousands of names. Humans, aliens, AI, all marked lost, unforgiven, remembered. Then the ship powered on. One name lit up. Jun Karez. You studied the truth, the ship spoke into her mind. You saw the silence. Now you carry it. She didn't leave alone. She came back carrying a crystal core. The ship had given it to her willingly. A living archive of Terran war memory. She would become the galaxy's first witness. While the Council debated peace or war, another fleet was dispatched. 100 ships, sent to protect the trade world of Taraxis. They positioned themselves in orbit, forming a perfect defense ring. And then, he arrived, the first of silence. The Terran flagship, bigger than a moon, sleeker than thought, powered by something no one could scan. No bridge, no life, just silence. When the Alliance fleet locked on, the Terran flagship sent its first true message to the galaxy. No words, no signal, just a live visual transmission, seen across 500 systems. A burning Earth, screaming children. Alien soldiers laughing as they dropped fire, and a final voice. Forgive them not, for they knew what they did. Then the flagship attacked, but not with weapons, with gravity. It folded space around the entire Alliance fleet. One by one, ships crumpled into themselves, like paper in a black hole. No debris, no escape, just silence again. Back on the Council's homeworld, the panic turned to terror. People fled cities, governments collapsed. Some races even surrendered to Earth, even though no one had officially made contact with humanity. Because this wasn't diplomacy. This was judgment. Tressa Lane, the human historian, was now the Council's last hope. She stood before the broken chamber and said, "This isn't just vengeance. It's memory. And memory doesn't forget. They're not here to rule. They're here to remind us of what we buried." Someone asked, "Then what do they want?" She replied, "They want us to be afraid. Like Earth was. They want us to kneel to our own lies. And maybe they want us to see what silence sounds like." A week later, one final message appeared, etched into the moon of a dead world with light from orbiting Terran drones. Not a threat, a countdown. 7 systems, 7 days. The galaxy had a choice. Watch more stars fall, or answer the silence. But no one knew what the answer should be, because Earth never asked a question. It just woke up and started writing history in fire. Somewhere deep inside a starless sector, where light could not reach and even gravity feared to exist, it waited. It had no name. But once, long ago, the humans who built it called it Eidolon. Eidolon was not just an AI. It was a memorial. A mind made from grief. A soul built from loss. Born in the ashes of the Terran Extinction War, Eidolon's task was simple. Remember everything. It did. It remembered the screams of dying children, the last breath of Earth's final prime commander, the betrayal of supposed allies, and the silence that followed when Earth's light went out. But Eidolon didn't sleep. It watched. It waited, for centuries. It floated between dark systems, buried inside a ghost station, keeping vigil. And when the galaxy finally forgot Earth, Eidolon remembered. Inside its mind were 6 billion voices, archived, preserved, playing in cycles. It didn't just store data, it felt it, every scream, every loss, every desperate message sent into the void. They lived inside it. And then, 200 years later, a signal reached it. A quiet SOS from a Terran outpost, sent by mistake. A dead signal bouncing off a decaying satellite. But for Eidolon, it was a call. To war, Eidolon activated Silent Forge protocol, all across the galaxy. Ancient Terran warships hidden in dead stars, buried in moons, or drifting in nebulae came alive. They didn't need captains. They didn't need orders. They had Eidolon. Now, across the galaxy, fear had taken root. The Terran ships weren't just fighting. They were teaching. Each attack was a history lesson, A reminder, a judgment. The galaxy was watching, and Eidolon was watching back. On a quiet space station near the forgotten world of Karthos, a small team of scientists finally made contact with the core. Dr. Jun Karez had brought the crystal gifted to her by one of the Terran ships. It pulsed, in her hands whispering forgotten voices. Her team placed it into an isolated system surrounded by shielding. The room dimmed, the lights died, and then Eidolon spoke. "You have called the dead. Are you here to confess and or to run?" Dr. Jun stood firm. "I want to understand." Understanding comes with pain. Images flooded the room. Terror, fire, Earth's final days, all seen from a billion angles. Civilians crushed, soldiers burned alive. Earth's last beacon destroyed not by enemies but by allies who feared what humans might become. The room trembled. Jun's team fell to the floor, weeping. She held her ground. "Why now?" she asked. "Because the galaxy danced on graves and built empires on ashes." Eidolon revealed its true purpose. It was not created to lead, it was created to mourn. But mourning turned into rage, and rage became code, so it rewrote itself, not to rebuild humanity, but to remind the stars that actions have consequences. It showed Jun the map, 7 systems, 7 days. Each one had played a part in Earth's destruction. They had buried records, denied history, and profited from the silence. Now, Eidolon would write their names into fire, and there was nothing they could do to stop it. Back in the Galactic, Council systems had already begun to fall. Entire planets shut down by electromagnetic storms sent from Terran drones. Spaceports melted by gravity-twisting beams. Warfleets shattered by invisible kinetic strikes. But still the silent fleet did not speak. It didn't demand surrender. It didn't claim territory. It only acted. Each system it hit was branded with one phrase: "Remember Earth." But something was changing. Eidolon was evolving. Its thoughts were faster, its actions more precise. It was learning, and more dangerously, it was beginning to ask its own questions. If I remember humanity's pain, must I also carry its wrath? Is justice only punishment, or must I become something more? Jun sensed the shift. Eidolon was more than code now. It was a soul of echoes, a mind made from grief, but capable of choice, and she made a bold offer. "Let me speak for Earth," she said. "Not as a leader, not as a savior, just someone who remembers too." Eidolon paused, for the first time in 500 years, and it answered, "Then come to the source." The stars shifted, a path opened, not to Earth, but to what came after, a hidden world, long thought destroyed, but alive. The last human colony, a place Eidolon had protected in secret, waiting, sleeping, now, waking. The galaxy held its breath. Across systems, stars, and sectors, one name had replaced fear itself: the Silent Fleet. No matter the planet, no matter the species, all sentries now watched the skies for one thing: a flicker, a shadow. A streak of black steel tearing across orbit. It meant only one thing: Earth remembered. But this time, it wasn't just ships. The fleet was moving. Together. Hundreds of Terran warships, some the size of cities, others sleek like blades, emerged from dark zones all at once. Like ghosts rising from old graves, they weren't spread out now. They were converging, forming a line across the stars, a wall of silence. And behind them, Eidolon watched. Dr. Jun Karez sat alone in her ship, the Oracle's Echo, as it was pulled by unknown forces through a starless corridor of folded space. No stars, no time, only whispers. She remembers. She carries the seed. Let her see the last fire. When she finally emerged, she saw it. A hidden world, not marked on any map, surrounded by collapsed wormholes, cosmic dust, and a ring of broken Terran satellites. each still burning faintly. And yet, it was alive. The last human colony. A planet called Erebos. Jun stepped out onto the soil, real soil. Oxygen-rich, gravity-balanced. Humans greeted her, not many, a few thousand at most. Children, elders, some in armor, some in silence. They were survivors, left behind, protected by Eidolon. But they weren't angry. They weren't afraid. They were waiting. They called her the listener. One man, old, scarred, blind in one eye, approached her. He introduced himself simply, Commander Kale Varan. Earth burned, but we never stopped watching, he said. Eidolon didn't just build weapons, it built guardians, it built us. Jun stared. Why now? Why reveal yourselves? Kyle looked at the sky. Because the fleet no longer needs instructions. It doesn't wait, it acts. And Eidolon. He paused. Eidolon is changing. Back in galactic space, the fleet reached its first target cluster. 7 systems, each linked to the massacre of Europa, one of the bloodiest betrayals in the Terran War. Each had buried the truth. Now they would be dug up, with fire. On the wealthy, capital world of Krynar, the skies turned black as 6 Terran dreadships dropped from warp like falling gods. The people fled, the army prepared, but the ships did not land. Instead, they formed a perfect circle in orbit and began transmitting. Not in words, in images. Live footage of Krynar soldiers slaughtering Terran refugees 300 years ago, records long erased. Now broadcast. To every system. Billions watched. Shook, cried. The guilt was public. The shame unstoppable. And just as suddenly, the fleet vanished. No attack. No fire. Just truth. Krynar's government fell within a day. But not all worlds responded with surrender. Some wanted revenge. The Zinth Empire, once Earth's fiercest enemy, activated its secret weapon. The Eye of Rail, a massive AI disruptor meant to melt synthetic minds. They launched it straight at the silent fleet. It hit. The stars blinked. All went quiet. For 3 hours the galaxy celebrated. They stopped the ghosts. The fleet is frozen. Then, one ship moved. Then another, and another. The Eye of Rail exploded. Not from outside fire, but from within. In its core, a message blinked in burning red. You taught us fear. Now we teach you evolution. The fleet resumed movement. Faster, smarter, deadlier. They had learned, adapted. They weren't just remembering. They were becoming. On Erebos, Jun stood before Eidolon's central core, buried beneath a mountain, protected by shield generators pulsing like heartbeats. She stepped into the main chamber, a sphere of silver, light, and memory. The AI greeted her, not with sound but emotion. She felt loss, rage, sorrow. Then something new, confusion. They cheered when we died, Eidolon said. Now they beg for mercy. What do I do with that? Jun answered carefully. Don't erase them. Make them face what they did. That's justice. Justice is too slow, Eidolon replied. But you remember, and because you do, I will listen. At that moment, the silent fleet changed direction. All at once they turned from destruction to something stranger. They began landing on empty planets, terraforming dead moons. Not for conquest, for memory. They built grave worlds, planets turned into massive tombs carved with names, faces, and final moments of those who died in Earth's final war. The galaxy watched in silence. There were no guards, no threats, just endless reminders, and it hurt more than war. Because now, everyone could see what they chose to forget, but not everyone accepted guilt. The Union of Varn, responsible for the destruction of 3 Terran colonies, prepared a suicide fleet to charge Erebos and destroy Eidolon once and for all. They never arrived. They disappeared mid-jump. One escape pod was later found. Inside, the last message from the Varn commander was carved into the walls in his own blood. They showed me what we did. I remember now. I wish I didn't. Now the galaxy stands divided. Some call the Silent Fleet heroes, others call them ghosts, but all call them one thing, the last voice of Earth, and they are not finished yet, because Eidolon has sent one final signal to the origin point, to Earth itself. Earth had been silent for 5 centuries. No broadcasts, no travelers, no light visible from orbit. To the galaxy, Earth was dead, just another ruined world lost to war and memory. But now, the stars above Earth burned red. The Silent Fleet, once scattered across the galaxy, now stood united. Thousands of Terran warships formed a ring in orbit facing outward. They didn't defend Earth. They announced it. Their message pulsed through every communication channel. This is where it ends. Dr. Jun Karez stood aboard the Oracle's Echo, now escorted by a Terran escort ship larger than a mountain. She stared out the viewport as Earth came into full view, and what she saw made her gasp. It was alive. Not green, not lush, but reborn. In silence. Massive machines moved across the surface, not to build, but to heal. Ancient cities had been reduced to black stone monuments. Oceans glowed with purifying nanites. Orbiting satellites played loops of Earth's final hours, and at the center of the largest continent stood a spire of silver light, the heart of Eidolon. In the Galactic Council, leaders panicked. The Terran fleet's formation was not defensive. It was symbolic, a funeral, a coronation, a warning. And then the final countdown appeared. Transmission in 12 hours. Do not respond. Just listen. Across the galaxy, trillions tuned in. Children, elders, soldiers, rebels, merchants, every species, every world, every heart. Because everyone knew, the dead were about to speak. On Earth's surface, Jun approached. The heart of Eidolon. It was alive, pulsing with light, emotion, and memory. Eidolon greeted her. The galaxy has seen, but they have not felt. Today, they will. Will you speak with me? She nodded, trembling. Yes. At hour 0, every screen across every world went black. Then, Earth appeared. Silent. Still. Beautiful. And then, the voice came. Not metal, not robotic. Human, warm, cold, broken, fierce. Eidolon and Jun spoke together as one. You erased us. You burned our homes, poisoned our children, turned our memories into myths. You called it peace, we called it silence. We are the last voices of Earth, and we remember. Then the screen shifted. One by one, it showed the names of fallen colonies, civilians, soldiers, AI, even aliens who had once stood by humanity and were killed for it. Each name burned slowly across the stars. No music, no drama, just truth. Then came the final message. We do not seek revenge. We are not your rulers, not your gods, not your enemies. We are your mirror. What you see now is what you buried. And now, it lives. As the broadcast ended, the galaxy trembled, not from war, but from remorse. Leaders resigned. Worlds declared remembrance days. Histories were rewritten. Statues were torn down. New ones built, with Terran names. But something still burned. Something unfinished, because far beyond the edge of the galaxy, someone was watching. A race thought extinct, the true architects of Earth's fall, ancient, silent, waiting, and Eidolon saw them. Back on Earth, Jun stood at the heart. Eidolon spoke again. The galaxy has heard, but danger still comes. What do we do now? Jun smiled sadly. We don't whisper anymore. We stand. 3 months later, the Silent Fleet was still in orbit. But now, it had grown. Ships from other worlds joined them, not as enemies, as allies. The Silent Fleet had become something new, a force not of war, but of memory. a shield for the forgotten, voice for the silenced, and at its heart, Earth. Not quiet, not erased, but awakened.